Welcome back, everybody, to the Road Back Home podcast. We're delighted that you're here, and we're especially delighted that you're here on this day because this is a very special episode. It was Mother's Day recently here in Ireland, and we thought what a better way to celebrate our mother than to introduce her to you.
I'm always excited to introduce my mum to everybody and anybody. I'm just so proud of who she is, and she's definitely the kind of mammy that you look forward to showing off. And we're wearing our leopard print in honor of her because she was a leopard in her former life. And you know, just her warm presence is always welcome, and no better woman to have on the podcast with us today.
We know her as Ilo. Her given name is Ellen. So without further ado, let us introduce you to our lovely mammy, Ilo. Hey, Ilo.
Two lovely girls.
Yeah.
Well, it's
And
great
we're all
to be here.
It's great, isn't it? It's great for the three of us to be here in our
It's great
leopard
to be
print.
anywhere. I taught you as well.
So, Ilo, we, one of the things that we've all as a family had the whole time is like we've always been, asked about ourselves in the context of our lovely dad, of course. But we thought today it was going to be about you, because everybody's like, what was it like to be Brendan Grace's wife? And we know what it was like. So we're not going to ask you that question.
No.
We want one of the things that when my friends or anybody belonging to me, when they meet you for the first time, and of course people who already know you, what everyone says to me is, oh my God, I met your mom. Oh, she's lovely. I love her. And what I say to them is, everybody loves Ilo. Like, how could you not? How could you not love Ilo? Yeah, so we're very, very proud of you. And so, today is about you, Ilo. How do you feel about being here?
I'm very excited. I have been listening to you the past couple of weeks in awe of just your womanhood and the friends you've made and how far you both have come in your life. I'm so proud of you. I'm very proud, and I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, well,
I'm out of my comfort. This is not, I'm out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, it is.
I'm here.
You are. You're always.
You say you're out of your comfort zone, yet I have always been in awe of how well you've held yourself in interviews down through the years, both while Dad was living and after he passed away. I think you've given yourself less credit than you're owed, but I also understand it doesn't feel like your norm.
No. I was always the same. The minute a mic or the camera goes at me, I get nervous. I'm real easy in company, like one-on-one or in any kind of company. I have no problem with that. Once the camera and the microphone go on, I don't like it. Isn't it weird?
Yeah,
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny. There are those of us who, when you shove a mic in our face, we kind of come to life.
Oh, don't I know? Didn't I see it? I'm still seeing it.
You're surrounded by
surrounded. Yeah. Lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, it's gas. So, Ilo.
Yes.
Ilo is what we call our mammy, Ilo, which is short for Eileen. But Ilo, you were born Ellen.
Yes. My granny was Ellen Farrell. And when I was born, my mom was sick. And I think back then, all those millions of years ago, babies had to be christened before they left the hospital. So my granny christened me Ellen. But when my mother got me home, she says no. And she gave me Eileen. I don't know why my mother didn't want to call me Ellen. I never asked her that.
Well, maybe she was just being defiant because because her mother named her baby after her. And she was like, excuse me.
Maybe. Maybe. No, my mother wasn't like that. She didn't have that kind of nature. But who knows?
Yeah.
Am I projecting, Ilo? Is that something I would have done? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But the babies had to be christened
before they left the hospital, yeah.
You were born into a much, much different Ireland than the one that is here today.
Do you know, I've been going over all this lately about the changes in my lifetime in 70 odd years. And like when I look at my childhood and my mother and father when they got married, My dad had a great job in Guinness's. And they got this beautiful brand new house. Could you imagine this when you're getting married? Handed the keys to a brand new house, 3 bedrooms, beautiful big back garden, front garden, everything, just gorgeous. And they were renting it from Guinness's. And I think it was a couple of shillings a week, which was a lot of money, but it was taken out of the man's wages. So they never missed it because they started that way. And I don't know how many years they were in the house, good few years, when then they could buy it. And because of the years they were renting it, they got it for little or nothing. I think they paid 2.5 grand or 3.5 grand. Of course, I don't know. Can't remember. But it was just amazing. So me growing up on Carb Road, all the kids on the road, we were all the same. Our parents moved in, most of them, the majority of them moved in newlyweds. And of course, then the babies all started to come at the same time. And so, like, we had kids all around us and out playing on the street. And like the summer times were the best of times. And I could walk down in my head now, up and down both sides of Carb Road, and I could name every single family who lived in those houses. Every one of them.
Yeah.
And it was all Mr. and Mrs. Never called
Yeah.
anybody by their first name. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the friendships and the fun we had and the innocence of it all, the innocence.
Mm.
So I go back
Yeah.
to that. And now I'm looking at my grandkids, James, Patrick and Aidan, growing up in their time. Like I was even thinking today about 5 years ago, before the pandemic started, how the world has changed completely.
Dramatically.
Like if your dad was here now, he wouldn't recognize it. He wouldn't know what was after happening.
Yeah.
It's dramatic. And I think about all the funny things that he used to do of gathering all the cans and the toilet paper and all the rest of it. And now they're saying here, it's time to start getting cans and water, have a preserve just in case. Just in case of what? Well, you don't know what's going to happen and we don't.
No.
And your dad was preparing for that all his life and missed it by 8 months.
Yes.
Isn't it crazy? So yeah,
Yeah.
Amanda, to answer your question, life is definitely not the same. No.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very hard to relate to.
I can imagine. Yeah. There really is. There is an Ireland that, like, unless you had some connection to it, you almost wouldn't believe it.
You wouldn't. Well,
You would not believe that that was the Ireland. Like, I know that you have told us that when myself and Melanie were born, that you had to be what was known as churched after we were born. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
we all went because it was the thing to do. Your mother came with you and you couldn't go to Holy Communion after giving birth. You had to be cleansed of the sin.
Yeah.
Like what was the sin? Was it original sin? I don't know what the sin was even.
Probably.
Well, the baby had original sin, I think. So you were born with original sin.
Sin. Yeah. Who told them to do it? Who said to
I know.
the clergy
I know.
that this must happen?
Do you remember how you felt about it, Ma'am? Do you
No.
remember feeling shame or was it a
No.
celebration or?
It was very natural because it was the thing to be done then. It was only later on in my older years, I thought back on it and I said, the cheek of them. Like I was horrified when I thought deep about it, you know?
Yeah.
How dare
And
they?
never in the history of the church was a Mickey ever churched, of course.
No,
You know? Like,
never.
Or
you must
chopped off.
you were just responsible, solely responsible for this, whatever
Yeah.
the sin was that we don't even
know.
know now. But
But
Yeah.
I'm delighted it all changed because it was too much. It was ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. So let's say before you met our dad,
Yeah.
you were engaged to somebody else. You
I-
had a life before BG.
I had a
You
life
know.
before BG. I had a lovely job. I had great friends, and I thought I was going in the right direction. And I changed jobs. Went to St. Luke's, and it opened my mind. I met different type of people, and I was doing more exciting things, and I wanted more for my life. So I wasn't ready to be engaged. I realized I was too young, and things just took a turn. And I said, okay.
And
I'm going to go and change this, you know?
And tell me about your job. What was the job? St. Luke's is a hospital.
We worked in the medical records office. We used to take clinics. I used to look after Professor O'Halloran and a Professor Moriarty. We used to take their clinics for them. And, you know, it was back in the day when cancer research was only really starting. Like, I remember we started the women's, it was, can't think of the name of, I'll have to think of it in a minute, but they started to do the women's swab. Do you remember, for making sure that they didn't have cancer of the uterus or the womb?
Oh, yeah. Like why can't pap smear?
Yes, the pap smear started in St. Luke's in about 1972.
Wow.
Yeah, and remember that, coming to the clinic, and it's a big hullabaloo, but the hospital was fabulous. And, you know, even though it was a cancer hospital, it was never depressing. It was a bright, open space. Patients were very well looked after, and the staff were amazing. It was almost like, of course, see, patients were coming back regularly, so you got to know them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
kind of made friends. I made friends with one lovely, lovely fella. He wasn't much older than myself. And I always remember his first name was Tucker. And I remember I used to go to the shops for him and get him a few, like, he was into comics, and I'd get him some sweets or something. And as I'd be going into St. Luke's, his bed was always in the window, and I'd get a little waves and I'd have something for him. I'd probably see him later on in the day when we'd be doing the rounds of the wards. And I remember one morning going in and he wasn't in the window. And I remember being surprised looking in, and he had died that night. But you know, it had a terrible effect on me because I got to know him personally. But it was a great job. I loved it. But I made great friends. And my two best friends to this very day are still my best friends. And that's Claire and Anne.
And that's where you met them, is it?
That's where I met them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was a customer facing role as such. You were meeting the patients and you were out in the public, and you probably realized that you liked that because you're such a social person.
Yeah. I did like it. And I am very sociable. And I always liked, if there was something I could do to cheer somebody up who wasn't well, I would do it, you know?
You were so similar to Dad in those ways.
Yeah.
You know, that was maybe partly what attracted you to Dad was, first of all, you know, his kindness, and you are, you know, one of the most, if not the most kindest people I know. You know, and just that love for bringing joy to other people. You both had that.
Well, you know, I see it in the four of you. I see it in you guys in all your different ways.
Yeah.
I see your kindness and I see your good hearts. All four of you have it.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely trait.
I have realized recently, since we've started doing this podcast, this kind of like uplifting or connecting with people, being with people in, you know, in a very certain way, in a very real way, I guess, is kind of the family business, you know, so it's no wonder.
I wouldn't have the energy for being bad or cross. I'm meeting an awful lot of cross people here. And I just smile at them, you know, just smile and feel sorry. You'd be eaten before you even open your mouth, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah. If I have something to say and you piss me off, like, I'm very good at that too. You know?
You were what, 21 when you met our dad?
I was 3 weeks shy of my 21st birthday. All those years ago. It's a couple of lifetimes ago.
Yeah. I remember after he died, I said to you, this is life after life.
Oh my God. This is a completely different life for me.
Yeah.
Where I am at now. I've never lived alone, ever.
No.
I never had a place to myself.
Yeah.
So like, I got married from home, never lived in a flat or anything. So I was then starting my life with your dad, and then news came along, and then we were together, and for all those years that you were off in college and doing your own thing, and here I am now. This is, I hate saying it, it's the latter stage of your life, but it's completely different.
Especially when you're doing it on your own.
What I've lived. But you know what? I get a terrible melancholy feeling. Well, isn't that life though? And I'm very blessed and lucky to have great friends around me here. I have to say, my
Yeah.
friends here in Florida are very good to me, and a lot of us are widows.
Yeah.
So we do look out for each other, which is lovely.
Ma'am, do you see yourself as a strong, brave person in the way
Yeah.
that we would see you?
I do now. I have always felt that I was strong, but I always had your dad there for, like, he was my backbone, and he could read me. He knew me inside out. And if you think about it, like, for nearly 50 years, there was times I'd have something on my mind and I wouldn't say it. And he'd look at me and he'd say, you can say, what is it?
Yeah.
Do you know what? He
Yeah.
could read me, and I would be the same with him. But then all of a sudden, that is gone. It's like you're left hanging on a wire and you're dangling, and you just wonder, where do I go from here? And who have I got now? Because you all have your relationships, you have your busy life, you're rearing your kids, you have your business, all that's going on. And I'm here thinking to myself, now, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I was always so busy. And especially the
Yes.
last, 12, 14 years of Dad's life, I was permanently on the road, moving around, meeting people, busy all the time going on. And you wouldn't have a minute to even think about being sad or lonely or anything. Now sometimes I have too much time.
Well, I know I have a guest room and an opening for a full-time nanny to raise teenagers.
Oh, Mel, wait till I tell you, I don't know how you
If
do
you
it.
want, if you want
I
to
love
take a
it.
look
I
at
love
that.
going there, and I go there regularly.
I can
and
fly
meet-
you in tomorrow. The
I
pay
know.
is good.
No, I'm not. I'm not giving out about my free time. I'm not. I'm just telling you the difference of how you have to. You ask me, are you stronger? I am stronger because I find myself very resilient, coping very well, taking care of all my business myself, and
Yeah.
that's all working out for me. And I do keep myself busy. I have a lot of gratitude for what I have, but I still have that hole in my body. You know, you say to yourself, God, you know, you miss your partner.
Yeah.
And that'll
There's no
happen for the
doubt.
rest of my life. That's the rest of my life. I'll always miss him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It never changes.
no, and it doesn't go away. But it definitely eases. I'm not crying here all the time. I used to be crying day in, day out. You couldn't look crooked at me. I couldn't turn the radio on. There was things on the telly I couldn't and wouldn't watch. And going grocery shopping for ages. Took me ages to get myself thinking. And this list is just for me. I'm not getting Dad's all his favorite stuff, you know, and everything that I pass
Yeah.
by that he loves, I'd be crying in the supermarket.
Yes.
So that has
Of
all
course.
dissipated. So
Yeah.
it has taken, he's my buddy now. I know he's always there. And I have I have a friend going through the same as well. It's amazing how everybody grieves differently.
Yeah.
And that's okay
Yeah.
too. But everyone does grieve differently.
Of
So
course.
yes, I'm in a good place, and I am strong. I'm very resilient. And I come from
Yeah.
strong women, by the way, as you know.
But that's for
Yeah.
sure. Yes.
We
I had a
always say
very,
that.
very strong mom, and all her sisters, all my cousins, every single one of them. My two sisters were all very strong.
As the grandkids of Lily Doyle, we often say we come from a lineage of very strong,
Yeah,
badass ladies.
yeah. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
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 And you know, I've never met. I've been very lucky to meet all different kinds of men, friends, and what have you. And being strong in my world, it was never said to me by a man. Like, I was always well looked upon by my men friends. I still have my best friend here is Michael, I should know. And they like strong women. And in today's
Yeah.
world, I think the women are very strong. But
Yeah.
I think the men are playing a much bigger role in the family life today. Much bigger
Oh,
role.
there's no doubt. Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
like when we got married first, I had so much time just with yous on my own. And
Yeah.
it took me a while to learn that I'd be in Orwell when we moved to Orwell Park. There's another thing I was very strong about. I was 22 when we moved into Orwell Park. And I was we were the very first couple to move in on that street. There wasn't another soul on the street of brand new houses. And my mother and father used to be a nervous wreck because They used to think Orwell Park was the country. Temple Oak
Yeah,
was the
I know.
country. You're up in that big old field on your own. I said, Mum, it's not true. There's loads of houses around me getting built and there'll be people in here very shortly. But she used to be very worried about me
Yeah,
being up there. And
yeah,
then people started to move in. But I think I was a good 3 months in that area on my own for about 3 months. And then other couples started to move in. But it took me a while to realize that every other couple on the road had their weekends. And they'd all be going here and there at weekends. And I was at home because your dad's weekends were his busiest time. And our night off
yes,
was a Monday night.
yes,
So it was an adjustment. I just had to adjust my life. And I did. And I'm glad that it started young because I became
hmm
very familiar with it. And I became
yeah,
very strong. And I was able to do an awful lot of things for myself with you guys, the four of you. And of course, I had my mum and dad who were great help, helped me raise you,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
for
yeah.
the first couple of years anyway.
So tell us, I have a question here. What is one thing about your relationship that people on the outside never saw?
Never
Mm.
saw. Well,
Uh,
I don't know how to answer that. I know people definitely always used to ask me, was your dad always funny at home? Which the answer
Yeah.
to that was no, because he was very serious and he was serious. And, you know, there was a sadness to your dad too. Like
Yeah.
he had a very gentle heart. He used to get upset over people having hard times and stuff like that.
You're right. There was a melancholy to him, and there
Yeah,
was a side that, in some ways, he would court the melancholy, but he would also try and keep it away as well.
yeah,
So he was very sentimental, very
very
sentimental.
sentimental. And we could never go to the pictures together because we never liked the
Yeah.
same things. I used to
Mm.
watch Murder Mystery.
Didn't he call you Imelda Marcus at one point?
But she was a shoe person. He
Oh, no.
called
Marcia Clark.
Marcia Clark. No, she's the shoe person. And I was never, even though I love my shoes, I was never quite her standard. But Marcia Clark,
Yeah.
because when an argument would happen, I would have all my facts right, everything. Time, date, you said this, when and where. I knew exactly what you were wearing.
Mhm.
I say, oh, here she is now. Marcia Clark is in the house.
Yeah. And I have no defense. That's
No,
why it annoyed him, because he had no defense.
no, and he didn't. And he would never, in an argument, what used to really annoy me was his side was silent. I was the mouthpiece and he
Yeah.
was so silent, like
Yeah.
That's a
horrified.
tactic.
Horrified.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he'd come around and he'd say, it would take him now a couple of days to come around. And he'd say,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that I shouldn't
Yeah.
have done that or said that, whatever. And then he
Yeah.
would make it up for he'd be sorry for ages.
Yeah. But that's it, you see. He had a hard time with all of that, like the emotional communication, emotional processing and
Yeah.
communication and all of that,
Yeah.
and saying things and getting upset and upsetting people, all of that stuff. Yeah.
But you know what he was great for, fella? He was great for writing it down. If he got
Yes.
the pen and paper and he wrote what he felt, he could
Yeah.
do it on
Yeah.
paper,
Yeah.
but he could
Yeah.
never say it.
Yeah. I know that I used to be very like that. It was just the tension of the, like, the fear of conflict, really,
Yeah. Yeah, well,
was
I have
just
that.
is
I hate conflict.
yeah.
And I'm always
Yeah.
afraid of it coming at me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too, I must say. Even though I can be, confrontational or abrupt or direct, in my more intimate relationships, I find it very, very difficult. You used to sing to us when we were
And
kids. And
yeah,
ma'am, when I tell you the fucking trauma, because I used to think what you were singing was, my bunny lies over the ocean. And then, so bring back my bunny to me. Bring back. And I just had this vision of a dead
it's
fucking
yeah.
bunny rabbit floating away from a child on the ocean, and this child just been like, bring back my bunny. Terrible song. And you trying to sing me to sleep. It's no wonder I never slept, Ilo.
And then she'd say, and now it's time for prayers. If I die before I wake,
Oh,
to God I give your soul to take. Good night, love.
am I going to die? Am I going
Oh,
to die like the bunny? So, when is it doing
so
okay
Ilo,
so far?
Thank you for the trauma. Anyway,
tell us, what have you learned about yourself through motherhood?
The mother is like all powerful. I feel like when you were younger, not so much now because they're out doing your own thing, but my God, the lengths that a mother won't go to back her kid up when something is not happening. Like when the child has been accused of something that's wrong, when they're sick, all of that, the mother is always there protecting and go to the end of the earth for her
Mm,
child. But
yeah,
as you grow older, I'm loving the relationships that we all have. And me as a
yeah,
mother, I'm seeing a lot of me in you girls, the way you're doing your thing, how
yeah,
strong you are. But being a mother is just, I think it's the best job I ever done, raising 4 fabulous kids.
yeah.
It was a
I've often,
privilege, total privilege.
I've, I've often heard you say, and Melanie, I hear you say this as well, that you miss your babies.
Absolutely. It's, you know, these little kids rely on you for everything, look up to you for everything. And then they become teenagers and they hate you for everything. And then they're in their 20s and they come back to you and they need your advice. And you kind of can go out and shop together and have a bit, like have a friendship more than being the parent. And it
Yeah,
changes as you get older. Like I find that you and I go away on holidays, me and Mel go away on holidays. And it's great that we have that relationship. And I still feel I'm the mother figure. I still feel that whenever there's a problem that you feel that you need to talk to me about, that you can. And I'm always open to it, no matter what. I
yeah,
try to help. And
yeah,
likewise for me, at this stage of my life now, if I had anything that's bothering me or I felt like I need to talk to you about it, I feel I could. Mm. So
yes,
motherhood is very special. And I
yeah, yeah,
also look at all the women today trying to juggle all that they have to, always have to juggle and worrying about
mm,
kids in school, the internet, the phones, all of that. I didn't have any of that, but we all had our own
mm,
thing at that time, But
yeah.
it's just, it seems to me it's a much harder job today.
Do you
Mm.
think?
I definitely do. There's far more. Amanda, I used to be able to put the 4 of you to bed, even when you were younger, like 12, 13, 14. You still have bedtime. And I knew you were safe in your bedroom.
Yeah,
What kid is safe in their bedroom today?
yeah, oh, yeah,
Because the whole
kids,
world
yeah,
is available to them.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so true. And it's one of my biggest worries as a mother.
Yeah.
That, coupled with, trying to juggle being a businesswoman
Yeah.
and being a mother, 2 teenagers, it's extremely stressful. I don't think it was ever not stressful for you, growing up. I just feel that I have to cut myself into more pieces
Well, I remember
and
you
be in
always
more
slagging me.
places.
Do you remember I used to say, oh, I wish I was an octopus. I always had so much to do. And the driving here and there and up and down that hill in Sagard and
Mm,
music, football, swimming, this, that, and the other. And it was never ending. But having said that, it was simple things.
mm,
But
mm,
it was a busy life, but it was simple. Today, even for me, myself, be careful of my language. Words today mean so many different things.
yeah.
mm.
So that's
There's a lot
how
more to,
different, a
yeah,
lot more that you have to be cautious of. Mm.
yeah. You have to be
Even
informed
at
in
my
a lot
age.
of ways.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
try to educate myself as to what's going on. And I learned that from James and Patrick and Aidan. If I have something that I don't understand, I have
yeah,
said it. Me and Patrick have had a few nice conversations about things I don't know how to say or understand. And he goes through with me and explains it to me and gives me a different way of looking at things. And that to me is special.
Nana is like,
yeah.
Patrick, what does skibbity toilet mean?
But do you know what I mean, Mel?
I
The
do.
words are so different.
But ma'am, the
What
fact that
what
you're
does
so
it mean?
open, skibbity can be something exciting. I mean, there's a whole meme about skibbity toilet that they use the word skibbity.
But you know what? You
Okay.
have to be, if you're not open about it, like your world will be very small.
Yeah, but you are
Yes.
open and so
Yeah.
receptive, and that's what has you. Everywhere we go with you, people say to us, "That's your man. That's your." I thought that was your sister.
Mm.
Like you keep yourself so young physically, but also mentally by
Yeah.
staying in touch with the world today and not letting it pass you
And
by.
you know what I'm loving at the moment? I'm loving seeing all the young entertainers coming up, all the new singers, and how wonderful they are. They've great talent. And all these YouTube kids. I mean, like the internet has a lot of good things
Yeah.
happening for the younger generation, but there's also the threat is always out there,
Mm. Yeah. A
you know.
double-edged sword.
So it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, it
It
is.
is.
Mel, what about you? What have you learned and are learning about yourself through motherhood?
Oh, do we have all day? Um, you know, I I had the best teacher. I have the best teacher. So it was, I feel blessed that I have been able to um mother in a way that I was mothered, particularly from
Nice.
a nurturing perspective. One of my favorite things when my kids were little and they didn't feel well was making the bed on the couch and giving them their little, treat and putting on the movie. And I'm very, I'm very into just creating an environment for my kids in which they always feel safe and
Yeah.
secure and supported and loved. Because it is scary for me, knowing with phones and devices that, and peers, even just peers,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That they have, no matter what I give them,
Yeah.
physically, emotionally, there's only so much I can give them. And then I have to rely on, the choices that they make,
Mm.
for the best life that they can have for themselves. As they say, you can only take the horse to the water. So I do worry about that, but I always come back to, the roots. At the very root of their, upbringing has been, security, safety,
Yeah.
support, love, good ethics, good values. And that was passed down to me. So I feel blessed in that, it was easy for me in those ways. Those things came easy to me to nurture, to support, to keep the lines of communication open always, which I
Yeah.
was always able to do with Mam.
Yeah. Very
Um,
important.
yeah. So, and for me as well, the most important job I'll ever do is, producing two well-rounded um, humans into the world so that they can, contribute in a beautiful way. And I feel that they already do. And the teen years are not for the faint of heart. And
No,
I
they're not
always
there.
still have Mam to reach
Yeah.
out to, and I
Yeah.
do often. And it's incredible how quickly Mam can talk me off the ledge when I'm feeling worried about something. She's so good at saying, Mel, even though it was that many years ago, I still remember this and this. And I'm telling you now, all he needs is this, and then that's going to happen. And it's usually what happens. So
Yeah.
I feel blessed that I have that relationship with my own mother because I have a lot of friends who don't have this close connection with their
No.
mother. Like we
Yeah.
are so lucky, Amanda.
Yeah.
So lucky.
Yeah.
I know you know that as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I just
Mm.
I appreciate you so much, ma'am, and thank you
Oh.
for giving me the opportunity to be a mother in the same way that you were to us, and that's a bloody
Well, you
good
know,
one.
that was all handed down to me from my mother
Yeah.
because when we were sick, my mum, and we'd no central heating in the house, it was the fireplace downstairs and there was a vent upstairs in her bedroom that you pull across and the heat went up. But upstairs was too cold to be if you were sick. So my mother would always bring a pillow and a blanket downstairs and you'd be in front of the fire and she'd mind you for the day.
Mm.
So like, is it amazing the things that come down through the generations? Again,
you
it's
know,
the little things in life.
I want to
Reminder.
ask you, Amanda, as well.
Mm.
Like, what motherly qualities do you feel that you've gotten
Yeah.
from Mam that you use in your life toward the women or or friends and people in your life?
Um, very much kind of what you've both said in terms of, and what you've said in particular, Mel, about like an environment or being. It's always been something for me to be, I guess, a touch point. A person that somebody could turn to and get some comfort
Yeah.
from, or get some support from, or get some wisdom from, or guidance. And I know that when I was making my decision about motherhood and deciding that it wasn't the path for me, and I'm not sure I would have coped very well with having my own children, knowing, like, I was always so keenly aware of the labor involved and of the intense burden and responsibility of it. Of course, there's joy too, but it's the hardest job in the world. And I'm not sure I would have done such a great job, mainly because, um, as much as I inherited all of those nurturing qualities, the person I struggled to give them to the most was me.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so much of my journey has been about learning to mother myself and give
Mm.
myself that, be a safe space for me, be a kind of like a source of comfort and wisdom for myself. Um, but I do know that my maternal instinct is very strong. And it was a very empowering thing for me to be able to clarify that I could, listen to the truth, which was that I don't think motherhood is for me, while also, and then grieving that, while also knowing that my maternal instinct still gets to have expression in the world. And,
Yes.
That's lovely. Yeah.
and that I get to show up in that nurturing way, in ways that will be in my wheelhouse, and that I will be able to carry and be part of my strengths, let's say. So it's a lovely thing to have gotten to this stage where I know that the traditional expression of motherhood hasn't happened for me by choice. But that I'm very, very okay with that. And I don't feel like I have missed out, really.
Mhm.
Of course, every now and again, I think, who's going to fucking mind me when I'm old and mad? Um, you know,
It's not.
and
It's not a
and
guarantee
I'm
that
already
ours are going to mind us.
well, that's true, but I'd be thinking to myself, I better make friend with the fucking nuns now, because I'm just going to land on a convent doorstep someday and be like, will you take me in? But um,
Mm.
but one of the things though, when I'm working, there's babies coming in all day, every day.
Mm.
And I love the babies and I love the kids and I get on well with the kids. And people say to me, "You're so good with kids. You'd have been a great mom." And I think to myself, well, yes and no, because I'm great with kids because it's an interaction. It's just an interaction. They're not depending on me for anything, you know.
Yeah. The life.
So yeah, I get to
Yes.
play with them, and then give them back, and I'm not responsible for it. I think I probably would have struggled with that responsibility. I don't think probably I would have. Um, so I absolutely love um I get a lot of joy out of babies, other people's babies.
I've seen you interact with them, fella, and
Yeah.
they take to you immediately. The
Yeah.
small kids just take to you. It's amazing the way kids like some people, and
Mm.
they
They
keep
know.
away
Yeah.
from other
They know.
people.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but I have
Yeah.
seen you interact with the little kids, especially the babies.
Yeah. So tell us, what do you think that people get wrong about aging?
Mm. That's a good one. Yeah. Well, it all depends on your circumstance. Some people have a harder life and they've lived a harder life. And
Yeah.
when they get old, they have a lot of aches and pains and problems and can't get out and can't walk and they don't want to go out. For me,
Mm.
I'm lucky that I've always been so sociable. It's number one. If you're a social person, I don't think it matters what age you are. I can be with like 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds and get on with everybody. So I like to be around happy people. I like to go out, having a few drinks with my girlfriends. And I have a very good friend, and she's 86 years of age. And I have to tell you, She put us all to shame. She is an absolute character. She loves life. She's out nearly she's a bit different now to me. I'm not as mad to go out every night, but she is. But you just go out and you enjoy yourself and meet your friends and live in the moment. That's for me. That's where I am now. I'm living in the moment. I'm not looking
Yeah.
to like 5 years down the road, not even looking to next year. I'm looking forward to the summer. Do you know what I mean? So that's as far as I go. I don't take it any further. And age is only a number, but my Auntie Frances used to say, tell that to a flight of stairs. Yeah. So like,
Mm.
I don't think of getting older. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I have no fear of it other than I never want to be dependent. Now, if that happened, God forbid, in all harm, you have no choice. You have to. But for me at the moment, I love my independence. I love coming and going. I do whatever I like. Once I keep my independence, I have my car, get into my car, go anywhere. And I'm that kind of person. I love change. I love to move around. I love to visit. But I like my own place. I love to come home to my own home.
Yeah.
But
And you take care of yourself too,
I
of
take
course.
care of
you know?
myself. I do.
Yeah.
The first big bang that I got was in 2020 when I had that hip replacement. I wasn't expecting it. Came at me like suddenly. And that kind of made me a little bit concerned about my future. But sure, once the hip was done and I was up and about again, sure, I was off again and I don't think about it. So I've no fear of getting older. But I think I have a bit of fear about needing help.
Yeah.
You know, or losing my independence. That would be a big one.
Yeah. 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 You have to kind of learn then how to receive and
I'm not
you'll
good at
have
that.
yeah.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
good at that.
All of
No.
yeah. Well, I'm
Well,
sure you
especially
would,
when
because
you're
I know
so
that
But I do. I like to keep fit. I walk.
Yeah.
I joined the gym in January and I'm enjoying it. And I'm making new friends.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to keep moving along, and every day is a learning day. So that's what I do. And do you know what I'm enjoying, fella, too? I meant to tell you. Do you remember the colouring book you sent me?
I do.
Oh my God. You wouldn't believe like the restfulness in that. I sit out on my patio out there sometimes in the evening time, and I might have the radio on or listen to some music, and I bring out the colouring book and have a glass of wine. It's so peaceful. It's so relaxing.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And I look at the page first and there's so much on it, and I say to myself, where do I start here? Now, where will I start? And then all of a sudden, I just start going at it. And about an hour later, picture is done, complete. I look at it and I say, well, that's fabulous. And I'm loving the colours and everything. And I don't really think about it. I don't give too much thought to it. I just do it. It's like, you know, the way you just scribble as you're talking. What do you call that? Doodling.
Yeah.
Doodling, yeah.
Yeah. And it just all of a sudden becomes a beautiful picture.
Yes.
And
So
Amanda,
colourful.
myself and Frank and the boys went down to Mam there in February, and James found that colouring book.
He did an awesome picture.
Oh my God, he took to it because James has a really hard time staying still for any length of time.
Yeah.
So he found his focus with that, so much so that I ended up getting him one when we came back.
Yeah.
And it really helps him just, you know, zone in on one thing and focus, and he enjoys it.
Amazing. And Brendan Patrick was here recently, and he done 2 pictures and he loved it. Yeah. There's something in it.
I haven't gotten there yet. I have notions of wanting to sit and enjoy it.
Yeah, you have a million things going on, Mel.
Which is probably the perfect reason to do one. But it's not like, even as I think about, you know, going on a flight or something, it's not my first thing that I want to do with my free time. But I love the idea of it in the same way that I love the idea of reading several books. But you know, my hand goes straight to the phone before it goes to a book or a colouring sheet. So that's just the work I need to do on my own.
The colouring thing is you don't have to think about it at all.
Yeah.
You just do it, and there's no thought process to it at all. It's just there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you get lost in it. There's a lovely quietness to it.
Yeah.
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 So I'm
It is. It's
enjoying
very
that.
meditative.
Mm.
I love it.
Yeah.
So tell us,
So
you
what
were
else do you
almost
want
50.
to know?
Well, here's one. Nearly 50 years married, isn't that right? Or was it 40?
Yes,
No,
we're
nearly 50.
45 years married and 2 together, so 47 years together.
Okay. So, with all of that experience,
Yes.
what advice would you give to married people? Like what do we need to know about marriage?
Well, my
Guys,
mother,
can I just stop a second? Because I don't think that's right. 47 years. If Amanda was born in 75 and
Yes,
she's
your
coming
dad
up to be
died.
50, yeah. So you're talking how many years you would have Amanda had died. Oh, did he?
No.
Yeah.
No.
But
No,
so
no. How long were
you're
you married when dad
oh
died?
fuck. Okay, well edit all that out then, because I was like, that doesn't make sense. Okay, here I am again now, back live.
so 45 years married, 2 years together,
Yeah.
which was 47
Yeah.
years. And my mother gave me the best advice ever. And that was after you were born, Mel, because I wasn't as inclined to want to go anywhere for the first 3 or 4 months. I wasn't great after having you. I had to have blood transfusions and what have you. And I just wasn't able to get myself up and go. And Brendan used to be asking me to go here because I had my mother to babysit. It wasn't that I was short of a babysitter. I never was. I just didn't have it in me to go. And my mother said to me, she says, you get yourself ready and go out and have a nice meal and enjoy each other's company. I'm here. I'm minding the baby. She says, very important that you always have your date night because she said your kids will grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't keep this going, you won't know each other when they're gone.
Wow.
So she said, always have your date night. And it is very important to have your date night.
To always make time
Always
for
make
each other.
time for each other, no matter what it is. If it's a cup of coffee on a Tuesday morning for an hour,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a nighttime thing.
Yeah.
You just
True.
go out and sit and have a cup of coffee and a chat. The chat is the big thing. I miss all the chats. We were great for having a good chat, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, that goes, Amanda asked you a question earlier, what is something about you and dad that people don't know? I remember the chats that you and dad used to have. It was just, endless chats about,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
could just be about something that happened recently. It could have been in
Yeah.
the news. It could have been, dad used to always make fun of you for your summaries of soap operas, and the two of you to get into the chat and he'd say, geez, you'd swear you knew her. I
Yeah.
loved listening to you.
Yeah.
Loved. But Nana Doyle was the very same, though. I'd
Yeah,
call
I'm
Nana Doyle from
always
here,
great
and
for,
she'd be telling me about, oh, Jesus, Sharon's after having a brain aneurysm. And I'd be like, Sharon, who? She'd be like Sharon from EastEnders. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Nana.
Listen, I tell you, I'm the same. I'm always one for all the details, and I could remember. I was always great for facts, and I remember your dad often at gigs would come home and say, "I'm after meeting a girl you went to school with. She's from Carb Road, and she remembers you did this and the other." And I'd say, "Oh, wait, what's her name? Oh, Jesus, I can't remember her name at all." Well, what colour is her hair? Oh, I haven't a clue. And I used to say, like, why in the name of God would you bother me with this? Why would you tell me when you've no information to give me other than you met a girl at Park Road or something? He never he'd never know the colour of her hair. He wouldn't even know
Yeah.
what
He
she
didn't
had
do the
on her.
detail.
No, none.
Yeah.
Where I would know from top to toe.
Yeah. You'd be
Marcia
taking
Clark?
that information in. Marcia
Yeah.
Clark. So I've one last question for you, Ilo.
Yeah.
If you could go back
Yeah.
and whisper something to your younger self,
I'd
let's say your 18-year-old self, what would you say to her?
I'd say, oh boy, what a ride you're in for. Oh my God. And I'd tell her, enjoy every single minute of it, because in the blink of an eye, it's over.
Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to say that. Yeah.
But it's
Enjoy
not
it.
over. It continues. It's not over.
Yeah. No.
Life
No.
goes on,
Yeah.
and we take our loved ones with us. And look at all we have around us. I'm excited to see what the future brings for us all.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for us all.
You never know. Sure, you just don't know what's
You
around the
never
corner.
know
Life,
from
life is
1
always
minute.
unfolding.
You never
Yeah.
know what's going to happen. Somebody used to say, like, if you knew what was in front of you, you'd never go outside the door.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
take it as life can change like that.
Yeah. And
Oh,
we've always been so lucky
so
and
lucky, so grateful,
so
so very
grateful.
grateful.
Yeah.
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 And we're so grateful for you, ma'am. I feel like you were always our rock, but even now more so, with dad in his heavenly home and you being the matriarch that you always were, but you're doing
Yeah.
double duty.
Yeah.
And we're just so grateful for you and appreciative. And you were so loved. You were probably the most loved mom that I know.
I appreciate that, Mel and Amanda. Well,
Yeah.
listen, girls, the best of luck in Nina. That's going to
Oh,
be fabulous for you. I wish I was there.
I
I know, but
know.
you're on Nana duties and
You're
very
I'm
on
on
important
Nana
work
duty.
you're doing.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
No.
And it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great.
Yes.
Get
it
up
is.
there and share your wisdom and be funny
Yes.
and be yourself.
That's exactly what we'll do. We would like to thank the listeners for listening and hope you enjoyed meeting our mammy. And we'd also like to invite you to reflect on the women in your life whose stories or lives have impacted your own in some way, and uplift them and celebrate them. And maybe you're one of those women well, you are one of all of us are the way that we live our lives are impacting those closest to us as well. So, be good to you. Be a good mothering figure to yourself is always one of our messages too. Ilo, thank you so much for being here and we love you very much.
I love you, girls, and I'm very proud of you.
Me too.
Love you, man. Love you, chicken.